I have questions on it too, but I go
I
to
know you
Ken.
do. I know you do. We discussed it.
Me the answers that,
This happens too frequent.
here we go.
I don't. Messing with their property.
Problem is we, come to order. The first order of business will be the agenda approval, and I'd like to entertain a motion to move items number 8 and 9 to the consent agenda. So moved. It's been moved and seconded that we move the items 8 and 9 to the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Public comment on matters not on the agenda. I have one request from Kim McDonald, and it's pertaining to last month's report on hazardous material.
During last month's report, you went into
Turn your
detail,
mic on.
okay, about trying to find out who was responsible for there had been barrel storage and petroleum products on Linden Road, which brings me again to the, I know it's going to happen, Homer Aarons, when he built my pad there, he used landfill from everywhere, including the state fairgrounds, and I'm sure there's hazardous waste in there, whether it's asbestos or whatever. And it is now going to be on the riverside. When you guys do discover something there, are you going to expect me to help pay for the cleanup? Because you were talking about, does anybody know who owned the property or who's responsible for the cleanup on Linden? Me as last landowner, it's all sealed underneath that pad, but you guys are going to be digging into it, and I want to be aware if that's going to be a deterrent to me. So I don't know who I'm supposed to speak to about that. I've tried talking to other people, and it's just, like I say, it's not my responsibility. It's usually the response I get.
Greg, who would she talk to?
Well, typically in situations like this, responsibility lies with the owners of the property in which there may be a problem, primarily the owner of record that may have created the problem. So adjacent
He's long
property owners
gone.
should not be responsible.
Anybody, are we doing any sampling or anything like that on property?
Yes, we are currently doing sampling. That's correct.
It's going to be down deep under the house because he sealed it all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3 is the approval of the June the 12th, 2014 minutes.
Move approval?
It's been moved and seconded that the approval of the June the 12th, 2014 minutes. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Review of the monthly year-to-date revenue and expenses.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This cash flow report summarizes receipts and expenditures for the month of May 2014. The fund's starting balance for May was $3.7 million, and during the period, the agency booked the second flood assessment installment for $1.764 million, and no other significant revenue was received for the period. During the month, expenditures totaled approximately $707,000, with $496,000 expended in the Southport project, $68,000 expended in the regional flood management planning project, $38,000 on the general reevaluation report, and work on the river's closeout and erosion site at $29,000. Combined with some money we have sitting in the state reimbursement revenues fund, the agency's ending position for May was approximately $7.1 million. And that concludes the monthly cash flow report.
Thank you very much. The consent agenda. Motion on that.
I have a question on 5.
Question on 5.
Have we contacted the people who were wrongly assessed on their assessments?
We're in the process of reaching out to all of the affected property owners. But I don't believe, we haven't sent out any letters as of yet, and we have not contacted anybody specifically yet.
If someone objects, what is the process that they go through?
We'll have them contact staff, and we'll review their factors and go over the process with them and make sure everything's correct on the calculation, and we'll, suss it out if there's any, if they have a different point of view on it, and we'll go through the calculation and review it. Most of the corrections have to do with new development, and that is that the properties have been assessed at a vacant land rate, and since 2007, houses have been built on the property, and the assessment has been adjusted. That's the overwhelming
Well, I mean,
issue.
it seems like it's an easy fix, because, I mean, anybody that has a piece of property knows if you were charged $10 for a flood assessment and everybody else is charged $100 or whatever it is, that something was wrong.
Yes.
And I know we can only go back so many years, but is there legal precedent that we can go and we can recoup those funds for that short period of time?
The answer is yes,
Okay.
and the assessment will be a lien against the property and enforceable in that manner.
So it just goes on their property tax rolls?
Yes.
Okay. So when they see that, they hit the roof and they come and holler, okay.
Well, they'll be getting a separate notice.
Yeah,
but the
right,
answer is
okay,
yes.
good. Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, move consent.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Are we pulling something off consent? No. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yes.
Fine. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. WSAFCA project updates.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to touch on a few of the highlights from this month's project progress report. For the Southport project, the EIS-EIR staff received the final draft of the final EIS-EIR late last week. The team responded with comments to our environmental team, and they're currently incorporating those comments into the final document that is being prepared to go to production and then to be brought before the board in August for project certification and CEQA certification. For the biological assessments that were submitted to both U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Marine Fisheries Service, As the board will recall, those are combined biological assessments, combined from the GRR as well as the Southport project. The 30-day period from submittal ended yesterday, so we expect the Corps will receive official notices, either requests for additional information or the applications have been deemed complete. So we will know later this week whether or not those applications are complete or not. We do know that there was a request for additional information from Fish and Wildlife Service on the GRR portion of the assessment, and no questions were requested for additional information for the four-way project. On real estate services, staff received 2 additional draft appraisals for review, and there's a number of requests for information pending response for the real estate group. And staff also reviewed the relocation plan from BRI, and the relocation plan has been edited and finalized. SCS engineers, this is on the environmental services, they implemented the Phase 2 work plan during June, which consisted of 38 discrete soil borings, and they established 5 groundwater monitoring wells. The samples have been sent to lab for analysis, and initial results on the soil borings has been released. They're preliminary at this time. SCS, we're going to analyze the results and prepare a report that we will then discuss with a meeting with the State Water Board next week. That will help set the stage for future remediation, if any, future groundwater monitoring, if any. So we'll be able to report out on that at next month's meeting. On the general reevaluation report, we've been making a lot of progress with the Corps. We have received the final draft of the EIS-EIR and provided comments. The Corps is in the process of going through production right now and submission of the draft report and the draft environmental documents to EPA this Friday. And the public release of those draft documents is scheduled for next Friday, July 18th. That represents a significant milestone for the Corps in getting this, moving the GRR forward towards final completion of a Chiefs report later this year. It also represents the milestone at which we can execute the 221 credit MOU with the Corps for credit eligibility of the Southport project. And as previously reported, I will be hand carrying those documents to the Colonel's office on Friday, July 18th for his signature. On the Sac Bank setback levy project, the Corps contractor has mobilized, and dirt is actually being moved to complete that project. We're anticipating all work to be completed, including restoration of South River Road on top of the new setback levy by the end of this summer. And then on emergency preparedness, 8 firms submitted proposals for the flood emergency response plans and evacuation maps. Last month, we, staff interviewed 5 of those firms to establish a ranking, and then selected one of the firms to move forward with to negotiate a contract. Those negotiations have taken place. We had a tentative contract in place, which we're recommending to the City Council for their approval next week at the July 16th meeting. So once we receive council authorization, then the consultant will move forward with developing those plans. It'll take probably about 1.5 years to complete those, so we'll be able to do flood preparedness training with the new plan and new flood-based scenarios with evacuation maps and so forth, probably for the 2016 flood preparedness activities.
Is that a state, paid for by state grant?
It is paid for by state grant, that's correct. And then one last thing I wanted to report out on tomorrow, July 11th at 9 a.m. Here in the City Council chambers, the city is hosting a special briefing to the Central Valley Flood Protection Board on the draft GRR for West Sacramento, also the draft GRR for the American River Common Features. presentation will also be given to the Flood Protection Board on the status of the regional flood management planning effort, which is just now wrapping up, the completion of that report. And then following that briefing, which is about an hour, hour and 15 minutes, then 2 site visits will be conducted in West Sacramento, one at the Southport, future Southport project site, and one near the South Cross levee at the south end of the city. And then folks will leave West Sacramento and head over to the Sacramento side for 2 other site visits along the American River. And the board is encouraged to attend if they'd so like to, either the briefing and/or the tours as well. And that completes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
What's going on with utility relocation? We finalized anything?
Not quite, but we're still working on it. We've made significant progress with PG&E, and I believe AT&T is now developing their plans for relocation, and the relocation of the cell tower applications is going before the Planning Commission, I believe, tonight? Oh, next Thursday?
Probably next week.
Next Thursday.
Okay, so Planning Commission's going to hear it and then make a recommendation to us or to the city?
They'll make a recommendation to the city.
Encroachment problems or anything with our levies?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No encroachment problems with the levy?
Not it's in its current alignment.
I understand there could very well be a problem in reference to sewer and water, septic tanks and water. Is that true?
I'm not aware of any problems related to sewer water.
Just checking. Anything else? Informational items? None? Meeting's adjourned.